Good morning, children. Today we shall do a poem. The title of the poem is The Worm. This poem, written by the famous poet Thomas Gisborne, tells us that worms play a very important role and that God has created them for a purpose. Sometimes, knowingly or unknowingly, we hurt these tiny creatures. The poet urges us to be sensitive to the least of these creatures. He pleads and says, let them enjoy their life on this earth, and tells us not to take away the life which we have not given. The writer of this poem, Thomas Gisborne, was an English Anglican priest and poet. He was a member of the Clapham sect who fought for the abolition of the slave trade in England. Along with the poem The Worm, Thomas Gisborne has also written poems like Walks in a Forest, O Father, Glorify Thy Name, and Thy Humblest Works with Full Accord. Children, we will now solve the warming up exercise that is on page number 36 of your English textbooks. Kindly fill in the answers with a pencil. Question 1. Worms play a very important role in maintaining ecological balance. They are friends of farmers. Discuss the significance of worms in the above two roles. Now, you can write the answer to this question at the side in the textbook itself, wherever you find place, or you can write it on a file sheet as there's no place to fill in this particular answer. Okay? Answer: worms are the friends of farmers and they maintain ecological balance. The following points show its significance. The first point: recycle organic material. They decompose organic material. The second point: increase nutrient availability. Nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen become more readily available to plants after the worm's digestion and by being excreted. Worms also help take the nutrients down through the soil and bring them closer in contact with plant roots. The third point: provide food for other creatures. Like all creatures, worms are a part of the food web. The last point of this answer: improve soil structure. Worms open up small spaces in the soil and help them get more water and oxygen. Question 2. Think and write down how the following creatures can be useful. The first one, dragonfly. They eat the mosquito larva and control diseases like malaria and cholera. Second, spider. They prey on mosquitoes and lower their numbers. The third, ants. They aerate the soil and allow oxygen and water to reach plant roots. They also take seeds into their tunnels, which helps to grow new plants. They act as decomposers. Fourth one, honeybees. They provide sources of food, that is honey. Their main contribution is in pollination. The fifth one, earthworms. They are known as soil engineers and they help to maintain the ecological balance. Question 3. Little creatures in nature can also be your teachers. Think and write what we can learn from the following. The first one, bees. Answer: hard work, teamwork, leadership qualities of the queen bee. Second, ants. Industrious nature, they keep working and preparing for the hard days. Third one, spiders. Perseverance, they never give up, they keep going on till they succeed. The fourth one, caterpillars. Move ahead in life, in hardships and pain. The caterpillars go through the darkness of the cocoon to turn themselves into a beautiful butterfly. Question 4. Breeding worms. To use them to convert organic waste into fertilizer is called vermiculture or vermicomposting. Find out more about vermiculture and how you can carry out the same in your garden, backyard, to fertilize your plants at home. The answer to this question you can write below the question itself where you have space. Answer: vermiculture is the process of using various species of worms like white worms and earthworms to create a mixture of decomposing vegetable or food waste, bedding materials and vermicompost. To make the same in our garden, make a worm habitat, spread some newspaper for bedding in a bin with water. Sprinkle scoop of dust or the top of the bedding. Close the lid and wait for 2 to 3 weeks. So we finished with the warming up exercise. Now I'll read the entire poem and then discuss it with you stanza by stanza. The worm. Turn, turn thy hasty foot aside, nor crush that helpless worm. The frame thy scornful looks deride, required a god to form. The common lord of all that move, from whom thy being flowed, a portion of that boundless love on that poor worm bestowed. The sun, the moon, the stars he made to all his creatures free, and spreads o'er earth the grassy blade for worms as well as thee. Let them enjoy their little day, their lowly bliss received. Do not lightly take away the life thou canst not give. By Thomas Gisborne. The first stanza. Turn, turn thy hasty foot aside, nor crush that helpless worm. The frame thy scornful looks deride, required a god to form. In this stanza, the poet directly addresses us, his readers, to turn our hasty foot aside. What is the meaning of hasty foot? It means footsteps that are careless and always in a hurry. The poet tells us to step carefully as we walk, lest we crush a worm. How has the worm been described in this stanza? The worm has been described as helpless. The poet adds on and says, the frame thy scornful looks deride. The meaning of scornful is looks filled with hatred, and deride means to express hatred. So the poet says that although the look that we give this creature, a look that is filled with hate, through which we only express hatred and dislike. Still, this creature was not created on its own, but it required a God to be created. And so the poet tells us to be careful of our footsteps in this stanza. In a way, the poet tells us to be careful of our actions. Now, the rhyming words in this stanza are aside, deride, worm, form. Now, since this stanza has rhyming words, it will also have a rhyme scheme. In the first line of the poem, the word aside rhymes with the word deride. So, we will tag the alphabet A to aside as well as deride. In the second line of the poem, the word worm rhymes with the word form. So, we will tag the next alphabet, alphabet B, to the word worm and form. So the rhyme scheme of the first stanza is AB AB. Children, kindly make a note of all this in your textbook. The second stanza, the common Lord of all that move, from whom thy being flowed, a portion of his boundless love on that poor worm bestowed. In this stanza, the poet asks the readers to acknowledge and respect the fact that the one Lord God, who gave the gift of life to all the creatures, including us, has also given a portion of this love of His, even to that poor worm. The meaning of thy being is your life, your existence, the existence of your life. And the meaning of bestowed is given as a gift. The rhyming words in this stanza are move, love, flowed, and bestowed. Since the word move and love rhyme with each other, we will tag these words with alphabet A. And we will also tag the word flowed and bestowed with alphabet B. So, the rhyme scheme of the second stanza is AB AB. Now, in this stanza, there are two archaic words. The word flow with an apostrophe D and bestow with an apostrophe D. These archaic words are old, outdated words that we do not use every day in English language now. Children, kindly make a note of these two in your textbook. Textual question. Kindly note down the textual question and answers that are discussed in the slides in your file sheet paper. Preserve them and keep them for your learning. The first question, why should we take care even of small worms? Answer, we should take care even of the small worms because it has also been created by God. The third stanza, the sun, the moon, the stars he made, to all his creatures free, and spreads o'er earth the grassy blade, for worms as well as thee. In this stanza, the poet adds on further and says that God has gifted the sun, the moon, and the stars to all his creatures. He has given all of it to us free of cost. We can get to see the beauty of the sun, moon, and stars, and its presence in the universe is essential for us, even though we may not understand how. And God doesn't charge anything from us. Not only that, God has also spread over the earth, the grassy blade. Here, the grassy blade is a symbol of nature around us, the greenery. It is for all of God's creation, for us, human beings, and also for the worms. In this stanza, the rhyming words are made, blade, free, and thee. Since the word since the words made and blade rhyme with each other, we will tag this with alphabet A, and the words free and thee we will tag with alphabet B. Therefore, the rhyme scheme of this stanza is AB AB. The archaic words used here is o'er, which means over. Kindly make a note of all this too. Textual question: what other creations of God are mentioned? Answer: the other creations of God mentioned are the sun, the moon, and the stars. The fourth stanza: let them enjoy their little day, their lowly bliss received. O do not lightly take away the life thou canst not give. In this stanza, the poet, on behalf of the tiny beings, appeals to us, his readers, to let them enjoy their short life on earth and not kill them the moment we notice their presence. He tells us that we must not take away life, which is something that we are incapable of giving. Now, in this stanza, you have the words lowly bliss, where lowly means something humble and simple, and bliss means joy and pleasure. So tell me, children, what could be the lowly bliss of the worms? The lowly bliss of the worms could simply be their joy of being in the state of existence. That is their life. Their life is their bliss and happiness. Now compare the joy of human beings and that of the worms. We human beings are joyful only when we receive something. Our joy is materialistic. We attach our joy and happiness to things, people, and circumstances. When they are favorable, we are happy. Otherwise, we are not. But look at these tiny creatures. Their happiness is in living their life of today, which is so simple and humble. Unlike human beings, they don't have demands. Hence, the poet appeals to us to respect their life and not take away their life so easily, which we can never ever return to them. The rhyming words in this stanza is day and away, received and give. Here the words received and give rhyme together imperfectly. Such rhymes are called imperfect rhymes. Now, since the word day rhymes with the word away, we will tag this with alphabet A, and we will tag the words received and give with alphabet B. So the rhyme scheme in this stanza is AB AB. The archaic word used in this stanza is canst, which means can. Textual question: explain the thought in the last two lines in simple words. Answer: the last two lines of the poem indicate that though man is the most intelligent of all beings, he cannot create or give life to other organisms like the Creator does. Hence, due to this fact, He has no right to take away the life of even the tiniest and the most unappealing creatures that are made by God. The central idea of the poem: the poet appeals to the reader to respect all forms of life as they too have been made by the Creator with a lot of love. It teaches us that if we cannot give life, we have no right to take it away. Now we will discuss the figures of speech used in this poem. We can see the figure of speech repetition in the line, "Turn, turn thy hasty foot aside." Here the word turn is repeated for poetic effect. The other figure of speech used is inversion. The line, "and spreads over earth the grassy blade," is a line of inversion. Here the order of words has been changed for poetic effect. The correct order should be "and spreads the grassy blades over the earth." Please make a note of the figures of speech that is being discussed. We can also see the figure of speech apostrophe in the poem. The following lines: "Turn, turn thy hasty foot aside." The second line: "The frame thy scornful looks deride." And the third line: "O do not lightly take away the life thou canst not give." All these lines are examples of apostrophe. In an apostrophe, a direct address is made to someone who is absent at the present moment. He is not there, but the writer is making a direct address to the person. In all these lines, here, the reader is directly spoken to as if he is right there in front of the poet. Okay, so these lines are examples of apostrophe. We can also see the figure of speech alliteration in the poem. The line, "the sun, the moon, the stars he made," is an alliteration. Here the sound of the letter M is repeated in the words moon and made for poetic effect. The next line, "Oh, do not lightly take away the life thou canst not give," is an example of alliteration. Here the sound of the letter L is repeated in the lines lightly and life for poetic effect. Now we go ahead to solving the questions in the English workshop section. The first question: read the poem aloud and you will find some old outdated words that we do not use in everyday language now. However, some writers or poets use them to impart an old-fashioned flavor to suit the background of their write-up. Such words are called archaic words. Give the modern words for the archaic words from the poem. For the word thy, you will write your. For being, you will write existence. For the word bestowed, you will write given. For the word thee, you will write you. For thou, you will write you. For the word canst, you will write can. Question 2. The poet uses a device where he directly addresses someone absent or abstract. Such a device is the figure of speech called apostrophe. For example, "Turn, turn thy hasty foot aside" is an example of apostrophe. Pick out any two lines Pick out any other two lines from the poem that contain an apostrophe. Answer: the line, "The frame thy scornful looks deride" is an apostrophe. The next one is, "O do not lightly take away the life thou canst not give." Question 3. Think and answer in your own words in your notebook. So the following questions of question number 3, A, B, C and D. You are going to make a note of it in your file sheet paper or a notebook that you have made. Complete them and preserve it for learning. So the first question here, why does the poet appeal to us to respect the life of worms? Answer: the poet appeals to respect the life of a worm as it is also a creature created by God. God has showered his love on it also. It is poor, humble, and helpless, yet it is on this earth for a purpose. The second question, why do you think God created worms? What is their ecological importance? Answer: God created worms just like other creatures. The sun, the moon, and the stars are powerful, but God's creation, the worm, too, helps in the ecological balance. Worms have a great importance in the ecology. They are a part of the food web and provide food for other creatures. They help the soil to remain clean and fertile. They are nature's recyclers. The third question, live and let live, is a famous proverb. Which line from the poem supports this proverb? Answer: lines that support this proverb are, O do not lightly take away the life thou canst not give. The last question, does the poem urge us to protect only worms? What is the general message conveyed through this poem? Answer: the poem urges us to protect all the tiny creatures on the earth and not only the worms. The general message conveyed through this poem is that all living creatures have been created by God with a purpose. The Lord loves other creatures in the same way He loves us. Thus, we should respect them and not kill them. Alright, so with this, we've completed with the poem. Um, Make sure that you complete your notes as well. This was all for now. Thank you and take care.